everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. And today's video is going to be a reading vlog because way back in January of 2022, aka the start of this year, as the time I'm filming this, I posted a video asking you guys to give me your opinions on what books I should read and maybe get off of my TBR completely. Because I've been holding on to quite a few books that have been on my TBR for more than 5 years at this point, and that's kind of embarrassing. And some of these books I don't even know if I'm going to even enjoy anymore because of how long they lasted for. So I asked you guys to choose between 5 pairs of books. I asked to kind of pair them up based on cover styles or like similar concepts, so like YA paranormal and stuff like that. And you guys came through between YouTube and Instagram. You guys picked my 2022 TBR. And before I dive into the winners, I do just want to say that, yeah, the time that I'm filming this video is November of 2022, and I have read 0 books. Partly to do with my life and, you know, the whole grad school thing that was going on. Because also I didn't want to like challenge myself and force myself to read anything if I wasn't in the mood or the particular frame of mind to do so. So because of that, I put this off, but I don't want to get rid of it. So I have just a little over a month left in the year, and I am going to read these 5 books before the end. So starting with the first pairing, I asked if I should read The Iron King by Julie Kagawa or Wicked Lovely by Marissa Marr, and The Iron King won by a landslide. It seems like this is a pretty beloved series and people really wanted me to read it. This was really more on Instagram. There was one person on YouTube that voted for Wicked Lovely, but this one won out. And I'm not going to say that Wicked Lovely will never be read. It's just not this year. This is a fae book. At one point I did try to read this. I think I got like 60 pages in and it was dragging. I think the bookmark had fallen out because I remember this dropped off my shelf and I think I lost my place. So I'll just restart this. But it's a fae fairy book. But that's really all I know. Next, also winning by a landslide, was The Hollow by Jessica Verde. This one I believe is set in Sleepy Hollow, New York, and is like a ghost romance, YA paranormal. This book in particular was actually gifted by one of my best friends, and I promised her I would read it. And she gifted this to me in like 2018. So it's long overdue, and this is also published, I think, originally in like 2009 maybe. So 2010, yeah, it's really overdue. In one sense, I'm happy this was picked so that I can finally at least read it, so my best friend didn't buy it for nothing. The next one that I'll be talking about was paired with The Summoning by Kelly Armstrong, and these are both witchy magical books. And The Alchemist by Michael Scott was the winner. I actually had this collector's edition that I never read, and I have a couple of the other books in the series, but again, I don't even know if I'm gonna like it. And I know that another one of my best friends loves this series, so she really wanted me to read this one. So I'm going to give this a go. And I'm hoping, I put in a request at my library for this audiobook literally months ago. And it's been saying that I am first in line waiting after somebody for months, and I don't know why. So I'm hoping that I'm going to get it and it's not just like lying to me that there's, you know, a book out there, or maybe the person just keeps renewing it. I don't really know, but I'm hoping that before the end of the year, this audiobook will come in from the library so then I could jump into that as well. And then the last 2 books that I was selected to read were very close. Almost impossible to pick between the 2. The first one is The Gathering by Kelly Armstrong. Her other book, The Summoning, which was in this list, was witchy. This is werewolves, I'm pretty sure. And I've again had this on my shelf for ages. And the reason that this one is because 2 people on YouTube voted for this one, which broke the tie that Instagram had. So this will be what I'm reading. And then lastly, in another close race, but this one actually did swing in one book's direction, it's Who is Vera Kelly by Rosalie Knecht. This book is a historical piece where I think it's somewhat of a like mystery and also like a literary fiction. I'm not really sure, but it has LGBT rep in it, and it's set in the 60s, and this woman gets recruited by the CIA. And very recently, this had a sequel that was released maybe a year ago, and I didn't know. And also apologize, my puppy is going berserk behind me, so puppy life, you know. So these are the 5 books that I'm going to read by the end of the year. Some of them are pretty thick, like The Hollow and The Alchemist feel pretty bulky, so I don't know how long they're going to take me. But the other ones seem pretty manageable. So I'm going to try to see how I like these books. And I'm not going to lie, everything but the top one I have sequels to. Maybe not the whole series, but I have a lot of sequels to. So if I end up not liking any of these or don't feel like continuing, I'm going to free up a lot of space on my shelves. So here we go. Hello friends. Hi. Yeah, we're going to start with book 1. So I am still waiting on one of my audiobooks to come in, and I found another audiobook for a different book. So that means at least 3 of the books I will likely physically read, which has been difficult for me. But I do know that Audible has all 3 of these books on audio, so if I'm struggling reading them, I could always buy them on Audible. But we're going to start with the quickest book, in my opinion, which is Who is Vera Kelly by Rosalie Knecht. This is under 300 pages, so in theory, I could probably finish it within a day if I really give it a go. Though I know myself, and I'm probably not going to finish this in a go. But we won't ever say never, because sometimes if I get really into something, you don't know how that's going to turn out. But I'm hoping to finish this within like a day or 2, maybe 3 at tops. It's currently a Friday. I'm off today. Then I have Saturday and Sunday. So in theory, I could easily finish this. And I'm really hoping we get somewhere. So I just wanted to check in, say I'm starting this today, and we'll see how it goes. It's short. Hopefully it's quick, and hopefully I like it. Hello all. So I'm in my car. I am going to head into work, but the bell just rang, and I don't want to be in a sea of children. So I'm waiting a few minutes and just decided to give you guys an update. So I'm not really far into Who is Vera Bradley, but I will say that I'm relatively interested. It is a dual timeline, takes place like in the 50s and the 60s, so like when the main character Vera is a teenager, and then like when she's an adult working for the CIA. And it definitely is an interesting concept. I think that I really am interested in the teenage Vera more right now, because it has to do with mental health and unrequited love, kind of. It seems like, anyway, that's what it seems to be hinting at. And I'm kind of a sucker for those storylines. Not even unrequited love, but like the mental health aspect of it. Definitely interested in. And the other timeline is interesting, but I think that's where I tend to drag, because the teenage one is so short. It's normally like 2 to 3 pages, if that. Whereas the other story is like the one that takes precedent. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe 50, 70 pages, something like that into it. Not too bad. And I could probably finish it, but I did not finish it in the weekend. And really, I just haven't sat down to, like, I read like maybe 3 pages a night. So hopefully this weekend I have some traveling to do, so maybe I'll get some car reading in. But overall, like, I'm not making super progress. On the other hand, I have no idea what's happening with The Alchemist audiobook from the library at all. Like, it's just so strange. It's just been on hold, and I'm the only person waiting for like weeks. So I may end up like canceling my request and then re-requesting it and seeing if that helps. But in the meantime, I am going to start The Gathering by Kelly Armstrong on audio, and I'm going to see how that goes. I'm a little iffy. Obviously, it's an older YA book, but those are hit or miss. Some of them I really love still, and then others are like so corny and cheesy that I can't get into. So that's where I'm at. I have Vera Kelly started. I'm starting The Gathering on audiobook, and hopefully we'll get 2 books knocked out by this weekend. This weekend is my birthday, December 4th, and I'm hoping that by my actual birthday on Sunday, both of them will be done. So we'll check in later. Oh my goodness. Hi guys. So I have 2 hours of the book remaining. I am really enjoying it. I thought I was going to have to like get angry because there was a character that was like insulting tomboys and saying that like they're not real girls and stuff like that. But then it was very clear that this was like a mean girl character and it wasn't the main character saying that. Hi, Suki. So I kind of am okay with it because it's very obvious that it wasn't like the main character wasn't accepting of that and wasn't like, didn't think it was right. So otherwise, yeah, it's been going pretty well. I really am enjoying it. I'm surprised I enjoy it so much. I really think that I really had low expectations for this, so the fact that I'm enjoying it, I'm just happy. I also got new batteries for my reading light, so if I don't have my Kindle app on my iPad, I tend to like hide under the covers when I'm reading because Greg will go to bed before me and I'll like put a really bright light on, but it like lights up all under covers. I don't know. Makes me kind of feel like a kid and I love it. So my light was dying and it was straining my eyes to actually use it. So I just put a new battery in that so I could read Vera Kelly tonight while I'm in bed. And then funny enough, after complaining about the Alchemist audiobook, it just came from the hold. I am now in possession of it from my library. So the audiobook I can start listening to right after the gathering. So I feel like by this weekend, I'm going to knock out 3 of the 5 books that I've been putting off all year. So then we'll just have The Iron King and The Hollow. And those are probably the 2 I'm most nervous with, which is why I've been putting them off and probably reading them last. So we'll kind of have to see how those go. But so far, both of my books that I've started are going well. What are you doing, Boldy? Are you a bold girl? Yeah. This face of viciousness here. Hey everyone, it's me. It is Friday night. It's almost 9 o'clock and I'm actually just doing a quick shopping for a gift online and then I'm going to bed because tomorrow I'm going to New York. I wanted to say that I finished The Gathering. So it's the first of the 5 books I had to read. This is by Kelly Armstrong and it is a read following Maya, who has always been thought to be indigenous, but she is adopted and her birth parents never really knew anything from her past. And they live in this like small town, kind of like an island in Canada, where they're a research town. So every adult in the town actually works for this medical company, or so they think. It's kind of weird. They're not really sure, but all they know is that it's like pharmaceutical research and all the parents work there. So not many people leave. There's only been 3 people that they know that have left the island and worked elsewhere. 2 people are the parents of Maya's best friend who dies in the beginning of the book. And since then, Maya is trying to cope with her grief as well as figure out why a lot of strange things with animals and deaths keep happening in their small town. It is a very interesting book, kind of a basic concept, but it was enjoyable. I was surprised of how easy I was able to get into it, and I could see myself continuing the series. Not sure, because it was kind of like a basic concept and it's definitely like things I've read before. I'd probably give it like a 3 or 4 out of 5. I don't hate it and I likely would finish the series if I do it soon. However, I don't know if I'm actually going to keep these on my shelves. So far, if, only having read 1 of the 5, I could potentially keep this on my shelf. I just don't know if it's a book that I will ever reread, and I do feel like there'd only be a small selection of people I would recommend it to. This is a great book for teens, like the true demographic of this novel. It's good. I really like how they have a lot of different elements with the main characters, like ancestry and how that plays into this town research and stuff like that. Though I am saying this as a white woman, I don't know, there was nothing blatantly obvious that would be controversial in my opinion, but I don't know if other indigenous folks would agree with that, so I would be interested to read some reviews. The only problem is this was put out in 2011, so I don't know if people recently would read this even. I tried to check on Goodreads and most of the reviews are from 9 to 11 years ago, so there's that. On the positive side, as I said, the next audiobook that I got, The Alchemist, came in from the library. I also got the ebook from the library for The Iron King. I figured I could use that instead of physically reading it. I could use it on the ebook on my iPad and my phone when I'm traveling as a passenger or going to bed. So hopefully I can kind of keep 2 to 3 books going at the same time and get these done quickly. But on that note, it is kind of late for me. It has been a very long day and I am gonna go to bed. So I'll see you tomorrow.
I seriously thought he was going to stop right in front of it.
Hello friends, it is Monday, December 5th, and I didn't vlog at all yesterday because it was actually my birthday, December 4th, and truthfully, it was kind of a weird day. I didn't really have anything planned, so I kind of went with the flow, and it just took me in weird directions, and I didn't read at all. What I'd like to catch you up on is my Saturday, December 3rd, and my current status with all the books I'm reading. So I have a few things that I'm gonna do today. I took the day off. So at my job, they don't give us a ton of holidays off, but they do give us our birthday off. So it's an extra day that's added in to us. It's not personal time, it's not vacation time, it's actually just a day that we get. So I took off today because, you know, going in on Mondays sucks. And if I didn't take off today, I would have had 2 full weeks that I had to be at work. So why not take off today? Okay, so I'm hoping this is gonna work now as I prop this up. So yeah, basically, I, on Saturday, December 3rd, went to New York City. My husband and I wanted to go see the Book of Mormon for a very long time. I'm a big lover of satire, and my husband loves South Park, which is, this Book of Mormon has been made by the creators of South Park, so it kind of worked out for both of us, and my husband is not a musical person, so this was kind of a gamble to see if he could enjoy musicals, given the right one, and he absolutely loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was funny. The musical numbers are very catchy. Overall, a good time. The only thing that sucked was it was raining pretty much all day until we got out of the theater. After the theater, it was gorgeous out, but unfortunately, the parking garage gave us a really hard time parking because we had a small truck, but it was a truck, and they just got really frustrated with us. And they were being kind of nasty, even though we prepaid and their parking garage didn't specify like limits or anything like that. And it was a small truck, so it did fit, but they just wanted to give us a lot of issues. So because of that, they basically made us come get the truck by 5 o'clock, which was right after the play. So we couldn't really stay in the city and do much, but it was also crowded because it's Christmas time. So I really didn't care about that. I did decide to borrow The Iron King from the library, the ebook copy, so I can read that before bed, like with my iPad, but I also decided that I would download it on Friday night so I can maybe read it in the car. But truthfully, I only read the first chapter, and I already kind of know why I stopped reading it to begin with. I don't think this series holds up as far as quality of story. This is how I thought The Gathering was going to be, where it very much like you feel like you're in like 2011 YA era, and The Gathering did not. It surprised me. It held up pretty well, but The Iron Fae just reeks of the early 2010s. It's very telling, not really showing, and it's very predictable. Like you have this like, oh, my white blonde hair and can't live up to my mother's expectations. And I do read YA occasionally that I don't feel this way, but this character in particular just seems very whiny, and it's very obvious that something's up. Like she's about to turn 16, like her real father disappeared and her stepdad seems to forget she's there. And she's definitely just like a nerd who is unnoticed and wants to be popular, wants to date the popular kid. A lot of cliches that YA used to use. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel. I'm gonna try to read it fully, but I might end up on the struggle bus because I literally could only get through 1 chapter because I just didn't want to read it. So we're gonna see how that goes. On another note, I have not read any more of Vera Kelly, mostly just because I haven't had time to sit down And when I do sit down, it's not for that reason. So I'll get to that eventually. And thankfully, The Alchemist audiobook came in. So I am going to start listening to that today. I'm going to meet my dad for lunch around noon. So I only have a few hours to kind of like dilly-dally in my house. But I think I'm going to just try to pick up a little bit and get ready for maybe like a night of relaxation, because yesterday and Saturday were kind of busy, me doing a bunch of stuff. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to listen to The Alchemist as I pick up some stuff. I just have to like, throw things away, get things organized. A bunch of Christmas presents that came in that I just need to kind of open, make sure everything's okay. And I also have to do some laundry. So just regular house things that I have to get done today. But I'm gonna go do that while listening to The Alchemist, and we'll check in when I get some time. Hello friends, it is still the same day. I am actually just trying to get ready because I have no concept of time. I feel like I'm either so early to things or I am perpetually late. And I was in a good place and then I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to film some videos for my YouTube today, my channel, and I started kind of getting distracted by like prepping for those, and then I was like, oh shit, I wanted to run to the one store. So where I'm going with my father for lunch, there's a store on the way there, and it's much easier to get in right off the road rather than cutting through traffic on the way back, because traffic in that area is really bad. So like while I can turn in from the other lane, the opposite side lane, it's not really my favorite. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just stop there on my way. And granted, I'm meeting my dad for noonish. I want to be there for about noon. This is a long-winded story just to say that I'm gonna be late because it's now 11:15. And if I want to still try to stop at the store, I'm gonna have to leave within the next 7 minutes. It's now 11:13 and I need to leave by like 11:20. So we're not doing too good on that front, but I figured this will be the best way to kind of update you guys while I'm getting ready. So long story short, as I mentioned this morning, I started The Alchemist by, I don't even know who it's by. This is an older book. It came out like, I don't even know when it came out. It came out a while ago. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it per se. I'm actually really excited because I got the audiobook and Dennis O'Hare is the narrator and I love him. If you don't know who that was, he played a vampire in True Blood, Russell Edgington. Like, great actor, love him. And so far he's doing a really good narrating it. And I think if it wasn't for him narrating it, I don't know if I would continue, to be honest, because it's just not really captivating my interest. And this is the thing where I think so far, not that it's anything wrong, but I don't know if I am the target audience for this book. Obviously it came out a long time ago, and I feel like if I read it after I read Harry Potter and when I started a series of unfortunate events, like that's the target audience. Like, so I would say it's a middle grade audience. The book would technically, I think, argue that because I'm pretty sure the twins in the book, like the two main characters, the kids, are 16. They do have like a part-time job, it seems. It's very confusing. Like they act like middle graders in my opinion, but they're technically teenagers. And that's relatively confusing when you're like, okay, is this a middle grade or is it a young adult? But it is categorized as young adult. And that could just be why I'm not driving with it. It's just not really my demographic, and it very much caters to a younger demographic, which is good. We need books like that, but it's not something that I necessarily can enjoy. Not to say that it's bad. It's just very cookie cutter, like bad guy steals something, the person that these two kids work for ends up being the infamous Nicholas Flamel, and he explains like, well, now you're wrapped in my centuries old like protection of these books that basically made me immortal. So like, it really appeals to a younger audience. It's truthfully giving me a lot of Percy Jackson vibes, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just me. Like, I'm just not as interested. Like, I liked Percy Jackson, but I truthfully too think I read Percy Jackson later than like I could have to really enjoyed it. I tend to like darker themes, so these are very lighter in all intents and purposes. But yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna say at least until the 50% mark with all these books. If I feel like at 50% I am just not enjoying it, I'm gonna call it a DNF. And that's gonna be how it goes. because right now I'm afraid that this book and The Iron King are gonna bore me to tears at points, or I'm just not gonna really enjoy it just based on how they're written. But with that said, right now, it looks like I will likely be getting rid of both of these books, even if I finish them to completion. I don't see myself probably continuing with the series unless it like really takes off and changes my mind. So we'll see. I mean, I'm both very early on both of them, and I feel like the Nicholas Flamel book, listening to it is making it at least, well, it's helping me keep engaged, because I do feel like if I was reading it, I don't think I would stick with it. And again, nothing actually wrong, it's just me being subjective. But this is kind of why I did this whole thing to begin with. I wanted to see if these would be interesting to me, because I put them off for so long. I think in my head, knowing that I likely wouldn't get to them if left to my own devices, but I also wouldn't get rid of them because I wanted them at one point. I'm learning that this TBR is kind of like a reader beware. If you leave these on your TBR too long, you're likely not interested anymore. And I probably could go through a lot of books that I've been hoarding for years and chuck them because I haven't read them after 10 years. So yeah, I'm gonna go finish this look and then I'm gonna head out. So yeah, I'm gonna go meet my dad for lunch. I'm just gonna stop at like 2 to 3 stores for quick Christmas shopping. We're gonna go do all that, and then we're gonna continue reading these books and see where we get. And then at some point today, I am going to film my 2023 TBR, You Choose My TBR video, and I'm really excited for that. I already have the books picked out, and that should be coming out tomorrow when I'm filming this. So today is December 5th. It should be coming out tomorrow, December 6th. So talk to you later. Hi friends. Yo, it's me, and do not mind the mess of my laundry room. Okay, so the one thing that I'm learning about myself, well, I should say the one thing I'm admitting to myself finally, is that my conception of time and the way that I can balance it is very bad. What I mean by that is, it's not so much that I'm bad at time management, but it's that I can't conceptualize how much time things are going to take me, which means that something that I think I should be able to do in 30 minutes might actually take me 2 hours, and I think I can do it all. So when I'm trying to film and edit and do things, it's been weird. The reason I do that preamble is that it's because today is December 11th, and so far I really haven't finished any one book since my update on The Gathering. I've had quite a lot of things that I've planned or had to do or wanted to do, and that's where this time conception comes in, because I end up doing things a lot longer than I think they're going to be, and I'm not able to then plan for other stuff. So, where am I at? We'll start with who is Vera Kelly. As of today, I have pretty much not gone back to Vera Kelly at all. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that it's a very slow book, and because I am a mood reader, I am struggling a little bit with trying to get into that book at the times that, you know, I'm not actually interested in doing it. However, I do think I'll be able to finish it, and my earlier attempts at saying like that I should be able to finish it in a day or two, it's true. I just haven't been able to sit down and actually read it. So Vera Kelly is on the back burner. As far as The Alchemist goes, I'm almost done with that one. I have been kind of making things and doing like laundry and stuff today, so I only have an hour and a half left. It's a very interesting book. I feel like I'm not going to continue the series. I don't know if I like it that much, given that I'm almost done with it and I'm not really super connecting to it. But it's almost like a Percy Jackson meets American Gods by Neil Gaiman, but in like a middle grade, early YA style book. There's a lot of gods that are like immortal beings that are being brought up, and there's lots of magic, and the 2 twins in this book, in this case, are like the chosen ones that are at the helm of the prophecy for like the world ending essentially. So that's where I get like the Percy Jackson vibes. And then the American Gods, obviously not, it's definitely not anything like American Gods, but it has to do with multiple gods from multiple different mythologies and religions. And there's some that I don't often see, like the Egyptian gods aren't really mentioned in a lot of books. And the Morrigan, who is one of my favorite deities, is mentioned, and she's like the villain of the story. It's kind of cool. But as far as like the storytelling goes, it's just okay. I think if I read this at an earlier age in my life, this would have been so enjoyable. I kind of regret, much like Percy Jackson, that I read it much later in life, because I think that's the hindrance to me. The very dated writing style, I think I'm just struggling with it overall, and I have almost DNF'd it just because I wasn't interested in the story. But I am going to finish it because I'm almost done with it now, and it is what it is. I think that there is an audience for this book, like I said. It's just not me. And then as far as The Iron King goes, because I got that ebook, I'm actually enjoying that one a little bit more than I expected as well. It is very dated, and it's very fan fiction-y in the beginning of the book, which I think is why I struggled when I tried to read it initially. But I am actually kind of surprised for being an older young adult. There's quite a lot of cursing in it. The F word is used a couple times already. And I like that the fairies are scary. So despite some of the flaws of like its time, I might end up enjoying this one more. But I'm only on chapter 5, and in this book they just got into the fairy realm. So we're gonna see how it goes. Obviously, I think there's a lot of very obvious foreshadowing in the beginning of the book, but given that it's for young adults and the time it came out, it makes sense. But yeah, I've been reading that at night before I go to bed. This weekend I have not, because when I've been out and then coming home, I'm pretty much crashing straight away. So again, me not planning things properly, I haven't really sat down to read it. So overall, I am still continuing 3 books. It's just not at the rate that I expected it to be. But on the plus side, I should be finishing one today, and I should be making more progress in the other one today. And once we do that, the other 2 books I have, I will hopefully get to by the end of the year. I am kind of finally getting to a place where I'm not overbooking myself, but it has been hard with the holidays because of like Christmas shopping and planning, so that's kind of the downfall. But overall, I'm still making progress. So wish me well, guys. That is my update for now, and I'm sure I will fill you in when I have more. Hello everyone, and yeah, it is currently December 16th, and a few days ago I finished The Alchemist by Michael Scott. This was not my cup of tea. It was fine. I am not interested in continuing the series. I found a really funny Goodreads post that pretty much like summed up, it went character by character and was like, Morgan, like you were just a subpar villain, and I don't know why you were the villain of the story anyway. Like to the twins, you're both very annoying. To like, you know, Scotty, you deserve more. And like that's kind of how I feel. Like I just felt like this was so just uninspiring. I don't know what my words were, but I said a lot in the last clip, and I really don't have much else to say. I know my friend likes the series. I'm gonna gift it to her. Yeah, it was fine. I'm already forgetting half of it. Like I just couldn't wait to get rid of this book and like stop reading it. And I would not have finished it if I was reading it physically. I just know that for a fact. In a surprising turn of events, The Iron King is starting to really catch my interest. I am now about halfway through it, a little over. I think I'm like 55% of the book. I've been reading it on my ebook and typically before bed, but I read a little bit more yesterday when I had a snow day and I was working from home, and I got to just kind of chill and read after work. And my biggest issue with this is that I just fall asleep like way too easily. Like I'll read like 2 pages and I'll be out for the night. I wasn't getting very far just reading it at night, but it's very interesting. It's a little bit darker than I expected for a YA book. Like there's mentions of different types of assaults that might happen based on, you know, different fae creatures. There is cursing. There's a lot of like potentially life-threatening scenarios happening. I just wasn't expecting this for a like 2009 young adult, because most of the time it wasn't going to like those levels back then. Like nowadays you see this quite often, and there's that argument about whether it should be young adult, or if new adult should finally become a category, because a lot of them don't fit in this. But I'm starting to really enjoy this, so this might end up being a winner out of these 5 books, because this is, so far with how it's going, It's the only one that I can maybe see myself continuing the series because I'm interested. And then as far as The Hollow goes, I've not started The Hollow yet. But like I said, even though it's a thick book, the writing seems kind of big. I just don't know, truthfully, if I will finish this book if I don't listen to it on audio. My Audible credit is about to hit, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bite the bullet and buy this as an Audible and listen to it, because I don't think I'll finish it through if I don't. And I'm so close already to finishing these books that I feel like this will just be like, I'm gonna finish the Iron Fae, I'm gonna finish Vera Kelly, and then this will just be the one that's the Enigma. I feel like, again, the assumptions that I had for this and The Gathering, this is gonna happen. But like I said, my friend bought me this series. I owe her at least trying to read it. I know she very much loves like the romance heavy books more than I do, so it just might be too young adult tropey for me, but we'll see. Maybe I will be pleasantly surprised, because so far I am really liking this, and when I first tried to read it, I didn't like it, so I don't know what's going on. I mean, right now we have The Gathering, which was surprisingly decent. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue that series overall, but I'm surprised by it. The Alchemist, which was a fail. This, which is surprising me. I mean, if we're having a pattern here, it might be the latter, the fail, but we'll see. And as far as Vera Kelly goes, I'm still at the same spot, which is like page 40. I have not read more of that. I'm gonna save my thoughts because I pretty much said what I kind of been like, just like surprises in it. But I do like how things are amping up, and I also like that the main driver of this is that the main character is trying to find and bring back her half-brother. So it gives me very much Labyrinth vibes, where like the brother was abducted and replaced by a changeling, and he's now in the fairy world, and she's going into the fairy realm to find him and bring him back. So very much Labyrinth vibes. I don't know if this ever got compared to Labyrinth, but I am a sucker. I am a sucker for anything Labyrinth, and I love when you can compare it to that. So I think that's why I'm now liking it so much, because that element has not been lost. Like, she's still trying to fight and find her brother this entire book so far. So yeah, that's where we're at. I have no other updates. I am gonna go try to finish my Christmas shopping today, and I'm excited for a long weekend because I had 2 work from home days. I had a very nice live stream for writing, and I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to be reading and writing and having time now that I don't have an internship. It's literally bringing life back to my soul. So on that note, I'm gonna go do my Christmas shopping, and I will talk to you guys later. Hi friends. It is December 25th, which is Christmas, and I have not updated in a while because I really didn't have too many updates up until like really this weekend. So I'm just gonna quickly, as quick as I can, fill you guys in on where I'm at in this reading journey. To start, The Iron King. I finished it on Christmas Eve. So yeah, I ended up reading this the entire way through. I read it on ebook, so I borrowed the ebook from my library so I can read it when I'm in bed and I don't have to have like all the lights on. And that was a pretty good experience. I didn't hate this book. I probably would give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely childish in a lot of ways. It suffers from very outdated references at this point, and it's crazy when you think like this was like 2009, I think, and how many things have changed over the last like 12, 13 years. So some of, like I said, some references to like iPods, which like, you know, tugged at my heartstrings because I used to love my iPod to death. I still have one. I don't know if it works anymore, but I did have an iPod, and that was like the thing that I would save up and buy myself. I remember getting one that was like huge storage at the time, so like it made me feel warm and fuzzy, but it's very outdated for like kids who might not even know what that means anymore. The other thing that I would have demoted a little bit of points for was the insta love. It's so heavy-handed in early like 2010 writing, where like everybody just falls in love instantly, and it was really apparent as an adult reading this that like they had like 3 interactions total before she was like, oh my god, I think I'm falling in love with you, and he like kissed her. And this main love interest was like so mean and like was threatening to kill her because like, you know, she's an enemy of the Fae and stuff like that. And it's just like, I think I love you. Like, what do you mean you love him? Like, you love each other, what? So maybe my adultness is showing in this, but like that was so unbelievable, and it hit me so hard reading this book. But Despite some of the flaws, I did enjoy it. It was a fun read. It left off with a major cliffhanger, which I wasn't expecting. But overall, it was fun. I think I would recommend this book to actual young adults, teenagers, especially like 13, 14-year-olds. I think this would be a good book for. The main character can be insufferable at times, and she's very juvenile, but it was okay. I got through the book. I think the biggest thing that was annoying, which is going to come up in the next book I'm going to talk about, is the bullying, like the high school bullying. It's just so unbelievable. Like, I work with high schoolers and their bullying is on a whole other level. And maybe this was the bullying that we used to be like known for, but wow, the bullies in high school today are nasty. So like the petty stuff that they're bullying for just doesn't seem believable to me when I work in a high school environment. All that aside, I still gave it 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it. It was a fun story along the way, and I would probably continue with this series. So on the next note, I started The Hollow by Jessica Verde. My Audible subscription came in, and I did get the audiobook. It's actually not as chunky as it looks. Like, I think the spacing in the pages is just very big. Yeah, I guess my puppy has to go potty, so I'll be right back. Okay, hi, I'm back. So I'm in a few minutes. It was an adventure, though, because I took my dog outside. She didn't actually have to pee. I think she rang the bell because she was out of food. So she's smart, but I didn't pick up on that till after we went outside. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make myself some coffee because I'm kind of tired. However, then I realized that I really want to eat dinner at my mom's house because I like her food. And if I drink coffee, there's a good chance I won't have an appetite. So yeah, also you're crooked. Let me fix you. Okay. I don't know if that changed anything on the screen, but it's better. Okay, so back to The Hollow. I don't know where I was. So I got the Hollow audiobook, and this was gifted to me. Technically the second one, my friend got me the second one, so I had to buy the first one myself, but she gifted it because it's one of her favorite series of all time. This is another older YA, and truthfully, we're not always the same with our taste in books, so I was nervous. But I am about 60% of the way through with this, and it's good. For the most part. There's definitely some things that I'm picky on. But so far, I'm much more interested than I thought I was going to be. So this book follows a girl named Abby, who at the beginning of the book has been pretty much in a pretty big depression and is grieving the loss of her friend Kristen. So Kristen went missing, I think she says like 63 days before the book starts, and her body was assumed to be like fallen into the river that runs through their town of Sleepy Hollow in New York, and they hadn't found it washed up yet. So she was missing but presumed dead, and the book opens on the day of her funeral, even though there's no body to bury. And then as she is grieving and trying to kind of recover because everybody else doesn't really seem as affected as she is, other than maybe Kristen's parents, she ends up meeting a boy named Caspian in a cemetery while she's there grieving, and they strike up a friendship, and Abby starts to have some feelings for him. There's definitely something up with Caspian. I have a hint of what it might be just based on my conversations with my friend, but it's very well done in my opinion, as far as like you think there might be some mysterious thing, but it's not like something you could pinpoint yet. So far I have a few things I like and a few things I dislike. I'll start with the dislike. Similar to the Iron King, the bullying in this book seems outrageous and like comical. Like, that's not real bullying. Like, you're bullying somebody based on like silly things. But basically, like, Abby really didn't fit in with any groups at school, but she was best friends with Kristen, and the rest of the school kind of looks at them as outcasts. But the school essentially like is trying to, like, the school's staff, like the principal and the teachers are trying to, you know, accommodate Abby, and the rest of the kids just think she's getting special treatment, like she's milking her best friend's death. Again, I feel like we've evolved as humans, and even the kids that I work with who are bad with like bullying sometimes, like even they, I think, understand that grief is complicated, and they're not gonna like think that someone's milking a death of somebody very close to them. But everyone in Abby's school elsewise thinks this, so they're like really mean to her. They bully her. They're doing things like inviting her to be on the prom committee even though she doesn't want to, and her mom and dad are both council members for their town, so they're also kind of pushy with like, you should be doing things, like you should accept their prom committee invite, like it looks good for appearances, it looks good on college applications, so on and so forth. So just some of the dynamics just don't work for me and doesn't seem realistic, at least in this day and age. Maybe it was different back then, but I tried to think about like my own high school experience, and I think this is really where it gets me, because like they talk about how there's like 400 kids total in this high school. I grew up and went to a small high school, and I also now work in a small high school where there is like less than 1,000 kids from 7th through 12th grade. That is my experience. And because of that, and I know times have changed, but when this book came out and my experience in high school as a small school, we were pretty copacetic with each other. Like there was sometimes like there was some bullying going on. There were some weird kids. There were some kids that like, you know, because you're in high school and, you know, you're mean to them. I'm not saying I was, but in general, like there's those times where like some cliques are meaner to other cliques, that kind of stuff. But overall, like everybody knew everyone, and we were all kind of just vibed with that because we were going to see each other somewhere, somehow in our school. So the small town dynamic, like I don't know if this author did live in a small town. I don't know where she's from. Yeah, it doesn't actually say like in her bio where she's from, and I didn't look it up, but like I just don't buy that this author knows what a small town high school feels like. I could be wrong, and I'm sorry to make that assumption if I am wrong, but it doesn't feel like that because it's just not the small town vibe I grew up in. And that could be to say that it could just be where I live, and maybe small towns do have a lot of cliquish, like, nastiness going on. I don't know. But if anyone else is from a small town area, weigh in on that, because, like I said, these people are, like, unnecessarily harsh and mean to her. They, like, don't buy that her grief is real. They don't feel like the mental health is real. But on the flip side of that, even though I have issues with, like, the teenage school dynamic, the grief rep, I think, is very good. To be honest, with the main character, Abby, I feel like if it was me as a character, I would be lashing out a lot more if I was grieving in the way that she is, because she just seems to be kind of like, you could tell she's angry and she's upset, and she doesn't feel like things like in life are fair anymore, which is very valid and very real for people grieving. But then like her mom will push her around and she just accepts it. Like she doesn't snap at the cheerleaders who are being mean and nasty to her. And it's just based on my experience from working with kids who are going through grief. They tend to lash out. I know that Abby's a little bit older with the kids that I work with. Like I work from like 7th through 10th graders, but like she is 11th grade, so she's not that far away. So it just doesn't seem always that like her reactions are always how maybe someone going through grief the way she is would respond. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that I think her grief rep is very real and very well done. I just really appreciate this aspect, and I think that's a huge part of why I'm so invested in the story, because I just feel like this is a real person, and I could see somebody like her coming into a counseling session and working through this and being angry and being sad and being upset and being unsure of everything and feeling like other people around them aren't responding in the way that they should be. So for that reason, I do like that main character. Also, I do sense that there's going to be a little bit of insta love in this too, but it seems maybe more warranted because it's very well set up, I will say, that the main character, Abby, when she meets Caspian, is in a vulnerable state, and she's clinging to somebody who is like keeping her grounded, which again makes sense with the psychology of it all. So obviously, I think it's going to be a little bit too neat. That, you know, that's my prediction, that this is going to be too neat of an insta love, that it's like not going to actually take that deeper level of like, I'm clinging to you because I lost my best friend and I am sad and you're keeping me safe right now. I don't think it's going to go that deep, but I will be pleasantly happy and surprised if it does. So we'll keep it, you know, see where my prediction gets me. But all in all, it's a very slow paced book. Look, we are going, like, we went through her death at the beginning of the school year, and we are already at Thanksgiving now. So a lot of time is passing, which I think, again, even though it doesn't seem like that because it's only a book, it's nice because you can get the sense that her, like, feelings towards Caspian aren't as instant as they feel when you're actually reading it. Because, like I said, we're in Thanksgiving, and the book starts at the beginning of the school year, like, right before school starts. So, yeah, overall, I mean, I'm interested. Oh, the other thing I like too that's unique is that this main character is a perfume maker. And I just love that so much. Like, it's just such a unique personality trait to give somebody. And I love that she's like so dedicated, and it's throughout the book. It hasn't been like dropped once, and I love that. I love that she has a hobby that doesn't have to do with a boy. I really appreciate that. So yeah, I'm actually having a good time with this. I'm going to have to apologize to my friend because I really thought she was setting me up for failure with this, but I am enjoying it. And maybe it's because I'm listening to the audiobook and that helps. The audiobook is really good. I can't remember who narrates it right now, but yeah, that's all I have to really say on this. I'm pleasantly surprised. And I'll let you know when I finish it. I probably won't check in until then unless something crazy happens. And then my last check-in before I go snuggle with that bug over there. Who is Vera Kelly? Have not read this again. I am currently on page 42. I'm about to go read it because I'm almost done with this vlog, essentially. I just have this and the Hollow left. And where I'm at in the Hollow, I should be finished by tomorrow or Tuesday. And with this, if I just sit down and read it, I should also be done with this pretty quickly. And my page is folded here. So yeah, we're gonna go read and I will talk to you guys later. Hello friends, hi. It is Saturday, New Year's Eve, and guess what? I finished my 2022 TBR. So just a reminder, in the beginning of the year, because it's been a long video already, I asked you guys to pick all my books, and I could not really get to them and had no interest in getting to them till the end of my school semester. So I just binged these books in the last month and a half, and I'm finally done and I can talk about them. So let's talk about The Hollow. I don't have much more to say than I already kind of said in the beginning when I talked about this. I think this is an okay book. As a contemporary book, I don't feel like there was any point to it. It wasn't like the main character had like a realization. It wasn't really a coming to age story. It was just kind of her daily life. And then as a fantasy book, it didn't become a fantasy until the last 3 chapters, and I'm not even lying. Like, again, relatively chunky book. The last 3 chapters, we finally got anything paranormal. And keep in mind, this is pitched as like a supernatural ghost story. So it's so weird. I did give this probably like a 3 out of 5 stars. Like that's what I'll give right now. I don't know if I'm interested in continuing the series. If it wasn't for the audiobook, I don't think I would have liked this and I wouldn't have finished it. It just, literally, this was just a book of this teenage girl going through her daily motions for several months, living out her grief of her best friend dying, kind of finding interest in a boy, but just generally doing daily life things up into the last 3 chapters when you finally kind of get the hint and understand what the ghosts are. I kind of knew at least the one plot point, and then she kind of faked me out a little bit, but then I called the twist from the first page. I don't even know if it was supposed to be a twist. I am pretty sure my friend did tell me what this was about, which ruined the whole book essentially because of you're not really supposed to know this until the end. So I think that's why I figured out the twist. But yeah, just it's fine. I don't know if I'll continue with the series. I'll probably keep it on my shelves because again, this was a gift for me. But that's really all I have to say. It wasn't anything to wow me. And then we have Vera Kelly, which I'm very sad about. This might be my most disappointing book. As I already said, this was supposed to be about a CIA agent, spy, who grew up in like the 50s and then became a spy in the 60s, and it's supposed to be queer. And it was just subpar and kind of boring. So there's 2 plot lines, as I mentioned. I will defend the fact that her history of growing up with her mother being queer, being unsure about being queer, not really knowing what to do, and then getting sent to a boarding school after her mom got her arrested. That is very interesting, and there was barely any of that. Like, her backstory pages, I'm not kidding you, were a page to 2 pages every single time. I think we got one that was like 4 or 5 pages. They were so much more interesting than her entire spy novel part, which was the majority of the book. I don't even know how that can be possible, but it's true. And as I was thinking about this and reflecting on the book after I finished it today, so I've been reflecting on it for the last couple hours, this has really nothing to offer about her spy life. Like, I don't really feel like the connections, the main character, Vera Kelly, is so shallow. Like, she doesn't really have a personality. Despite having all this stuff happen to her as a kid, I don't really feel like it affects her as an adult because there's nothing that really plays into her job because she's so personalityless. Like, it would almost be understandable if like the author decided to make her that way as like her shield as a spy. But no, her entire like existence is like, I have nobody, I am nobody. I guess that's who was Vera Kelly. Like, nobody actually knows. Not even the author, not me, not Vera Kelly herself. So it was just, yeah, I think I have to give it a 2 star. I'm sad by this because I thought this one would be the one that would really get me in the end, where I thought this was going to be maybe a 4, potentially a 5-star, but it was just boring, and I'm kind of sad by it. But that is the lesson I've learned, is why I've kept these books on my shelves for so long. It's because I'm probably going to be disappointed by them. Let's take an assessment of the 5 books that I read. My least favorite book was Who is Vera Kelly by Rosalind Knecht. Coming in 4th place was The Alchemist by Michael Scott. This was just boring. I have no memory of what even happened in this, and I didn't read it long ago. Then we have The Gathering, another book where I know I just read this and it wasn't enough to really stick in my mind. Like, I know it was a fine read, but I am going to be disposing of this too. This could have tied with The Gathering. Both of these were 3 stars, I would say, and The Hollow just didn't, as much as I could have, like, I was fine following this girl's life, I really felt like it wasn't amounting to anything, and then the last 3 chapters were rushed. And out of all of these, I think I genuinely liked The Iron King. It was not perfect. It was not a 5-star, but I think out of all of them, this is the only series that I am going to keep and probably read. 2 of the series I am going to be giving to my friends, and then the other 2 I'm likely just going to donate, and or, like I said, I might keep The Hollow on my shelves because it was gifted to me. So there we go. The 5 books that I was to read based on your votes in 2022. So I'm excited. I have already gotten the results for my 2023 reads. You're going to end up seeing this vlog probably well into January. So by that time, you can still go watch my 2023 picks if you'd like. And maybe if I haven't read any of them yet, if you want to comment, there's a chance that that could sway a decision. I know one of the polls on Instagram was tied completely. I think YouTube was able to break that, but we'll see. So yeah, if you followed along this long for this video, thank you so much. I did have a lot of fun kind of pushing myself to read these books at the end of the month. I really liked the challenge. I kind of liked the, you know, panic-inducingness of I have a month really to read all of these. But I did it. I can't say I'm a quitter. And I promise you it is, I don't even know what time it is. It's like 6:30 on New Year's Eve, and we are done with all of them. I look forward to doing this again in 2023, and hopefully I will keep doing YouTube and I'll be able to do this in 2024 and after. So let me know down below what you think of this vlog and the books that I read. Do any pique your interest after I talked about them, or do you feel like these would all be passes on your list as well? Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then. Bye!